Good morning, traders and investors around the world, and welcome to Friday's edition of premarketinfo.com, where we prepare you for one of the most important hours of the day, the first hour. Dennis, nice 16-point range in the S&Ps overnight.
Yeah, same thing, Joel. Until the 8 o'clock after-hour session closed there was really no action. Then overnight, as the liquidity from the stocks are gone, the liquidity starts to drop, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and all of a sudden, the E-minis start taking off again. So wake up, and they're up 8, and we've slowly drifted up all morning, being up 11 now.
Okay, Globex high currently stands at 1249.50. Folks, we're opening it up into some real good resistance here. We're slightly above yesterday's high, but we are running into Wednesday's intraday high at 1249.25. Expect some resistance at that area. If we blow through there, folks, we got some room up to 1260. There's really nothing in the book at 1250. Coming back on the downside, our Globex low was at 1233.75, just a tick above the daily pivot for you guys that were trying to buy that number last night. If that holds as the low of the day, we have an upside target of 1264.25. Also, we'd like to give a quick shout out to our veterans that are listening to our show today, especially our veterans that are active day traders. We'd like to say thank you for all you do. And also, Dennis, this is also a very monumental day in the markets and also in the world. And you know why?
Why is that, Joel?
Because Becky Quick is back on CNBC.
Excellent. Well, we all like Becky, so good for Becky.
All right. Moving on to the Big Ten. Apple, after that consolidation at the 400 area, took out the earnings low number we had, which is 390.75. Crashed down to 382.15 with a settle at 385.22. Dennis, could this be a little bit of a longer-term signal on Apple Computer?
I think so, Joel. Actually, if you go to our trading blog on the site, I blogged yesterday what I thought about Apple. Getting a nice rally today. I know there was some comments from Citigroup yesterday. JP Morgan actually this morning giving some comments there. I think they're both kind of bullish the stock. Personally, just my opinion, I think they're wrong. I think, Kramer actually came out and said I was worried about a little bit of the fundamentals. I'm more worried about the technicals. This is a key breakdown. We had that 400 area, which was holding the stock for the last month. We broke down through the 391 support area. We're back up here at 389. I'm kind of, licking my chops here, thinking about, putting on a short here in the 390 area. Not saying you should go out and do that. You do have risk because this thing could go back to the 400 area. But I do think I think the trade now is more of a sell the rallies as opposed to buy the dips on Apple. So, and as I was saying in my blog, the major support's down at 360. And for you swing traders out there, I think that would be my target. If I'm going to risk 5 or 10 points, I usually want to make 10 to 20. I want at least a 2-to-1. I usually go for a 3-to-1 risk return ratio. So if you're putting on at 389, you almost got to give it the 400. So in that case, if I was a swing trader, I'd probably want to, at least make 20 points off of it, which would bring us down at least to 368 area. But I still like the target of 360, Joel.
Okay, you use that 390.75 here as a swing number. That was, like I said, that was a low to keep an eye on. ExxonMobil's strong day, closing right at the high of the day, 78.70. We talked about that 79 level, Dennis. Wednesday and Thursday's highs right in that area. We've just busted through there. Really not seeing a whole lot until the weekly high here up at 80.64. Coming back on the downside, I'm looking for supported settlement 78.70.
I do like this 80 number here too, Joel. Just before that, we're at 79.39, so we're 60 cents away from there. We kind of topped out there. If we go back, Monday we cut through there, and then we struggled to get back through it. Ago on Monday. And then the recent here, we got up on Tuesday, we got up just in this high 79s and we struggled there again. I did see some size at 80. So I think you will see some sellers here in the 79.80s and the 79.90s. So I like the low risk short. Obviously cuts through 80, then I might think about covering. But I do like, it's maybe a possible short in the high 79s here, Joel.
Okay, IBM, kind of a quiet day yesterday. Couldn't quite get to Wednesday's low, bottoming out at 181.87. Got some good resistance here, folks, from 184.77, which was Thursday's high, up to 185.28. So let's just call that 185. Above that, don't get too happy if it breaks through there. You got a gap to fill up to 185.51. And since we are trading above the close, we'll call the 183.35 close support. Doesn't seem like IBM's up much relative to the S&Ps, Dennis.
It's up $1 here. There's no trades actually yet, so it's bid up $1, offered up $2, so it hasn't really figured out where it wants to be. So the only thing I would say is, interesting enough, a lot of your tech stocks did not follow Apple. It seemed like Apple was kind of on its own yesterday. Obviously, the market being up too, and Apple being down as much as it was. But like we had been saying before, Apple seems to lead all the tech here. Even the last couple of weeks, I've kind of noticed there's a disconnect there now. So I used to say use Apple to trade IBM or Microsoft. I'm not going to say that anymore. I think there's been a disconnect there in that trend. Obviously, there's always a correlation there, but I think the correlation is less than it was a few weeks ago. So IBM could trade on its own here, and I like that 185 area as resistance.
Okay, Mr. Softy, for those of you that were trying to buy at 26 even or even a little above that, sorry, only got the 26.12. That 26 level is just getting to be bigger and bigger support for the stock. Had a bounce up to 26.50, couldn't quite reach Wednesday's high. Look at the close here to be support at 26.28. Above that 26.50 level, it really doesn't open up. You got, like I said, Wednesday's high at 28.75. But above that, let's look for Tuesday's high at 27.20.
Joel, it's kind of this channel thing happening. We always talked about the channelingstocks.com. It's just starting to form here. 26 on the low end, 27 on the upper end. So, I'm a buyer in the low 26s and a seller in the high 26s. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Okay. Chevron Corporation, just punched through Wednesday's low by a little bit, went to 103.50, recovered to settle at 105.5. We'll use that as support, or if any shorts off the open, look to bring it in at that 105.50 level. Currently just trading above 106.01, which was Thursday's high. So if you're trying some longs off the open, off fair value, whatever, and we bust through 106 on the downside, you better have your stops in there, because I think we're going to go to 105.50 in a heartbeat. Coming on the upside, you do have Wednesday's high at 106.49. If we bust through there, things really open up until Tuesday's high at 109.
I love that 108 area. If you get in the 108s or 109s, we're at 106.10. Trade as high as 106.44. So we're back and a half away from where I would start to get interested on the short side. Looking at support here, you can look at yesterday's low 103.50. We had the 103.87. So we've bounced off that area a couple times. So maybe you could look at that area as a possible long, but I'd rather sell this stock than buy it.
Okay, J&J opening it up right into Thursday's high here, which was 64.42. That should be a good swing number in that stock today. Above that, Tuesday's high, 64.99. Let's call it 65. Should also be a stopping point. If we do go into a sell-off mode here, look for the close at 64.12 to be support.
J&J has some size at 65 too. We talked about that guy a few days ago. So you'll see sellers in 64. You see those high frequency guys like lean on that size. They'll be in the 64.90 selling. Swing traders might be selling 64.80. So I think this stock starts to get thick as soon as you get above 64.80. So I'd be a seller up there.
Okay, Procter & Gamble, similar situation with the J&J. Couldn't quite get to Wednesday's low. Get a little bounce here, closing at 63.24. Currently trading up 57 cents, Dennis. That's a pretty substantial for Procter & Gamble. Actually opening in right into Wednesday's high there, 63.83. So for you guys that got an itchy, trigger on the short side here, opening up into resistance for Procter & Gamble. Above that, things open up until the 64.34 level. Coming back on the downside, let's use that close as support, 63.24.
little bit of size forming in the book at 64, so I think you're right. I think 80s and 90s could give a little bit of resistance, not like the Johnson & Johnson off that whole number, but there'll be some resistance there if it does take out that 64. I think you're right. I think it opens up a little bit, so you got to be cautious if you're short that one.
Okay, AT&T, man. I sure hope this drops out of the Big Ten soon because I don't know if anybody's out there listening and trading my AT&T numbers, would you please send me an email today? You got some lower highs from yesterday. I mean, you got resistance up from 29 and a quarter up to 29.50. There's just no free lunch being along that stock. If we break above 29.50, you do have last week's high at 29.65. Coming back on the downside, we'll use the close 29.16 as support, and then also Thursday's low at 28.95.
Yeah, 29.5 is still the number. You're going to see sellers. We even topped out here in the pre-market 29.40. I think whoever got sold that up there, I think that's a good number there to sell off of. So I'm a seller in the 29.40s on this stock. Breaks about 29.50, then I might think about covering.
A little bearish on this venturous day into this up opening.
Charts and the charts just tell me, as we're doing the show here, I'm looking at the charts and it's what I'm feeling. So you can't help it. They just all look like sells. I don't know why.
Don't text me afterwards that you got plowed on all your fair value shorts on the open. No.
Yeah, there you go.
GE, Wednesday, Thursday's high matching at 16.19. Currently trading at 16.21. So low risk buy off the open here at 16.20.21. Probably risk it down to the close at 16.06. Above that, I mean, I did have some numbers above that 16.19, but really Tuesday's close and high 16.48, 49.50 be a good place to exit some early longs if you do get them off the open.
Limited comments on GE. I do have a trading position in there. You can probably guess what it is.
Coca-Cola, another stock that couldn't quite reach Thursday's low. Actually got within a nickel of Wednesday's low, 66.86 to 91. So let's call that whole area 67 major support. Above that, the close of 67.39. Be a little stopping point before that. You're going to run into Wednesday's high, 67.99, pretty close to the open. That should be good resistance. After that, things open up into 68s. That's about all I have on the Big Ten. Dennis, you got any other comments?
Just on Coke, I think you'll see some resistance up in that 68 area. And Pepsi got a downgrade from Janney Capital today, so that could put a little relative weakness in Pepsi. And sometimes that can, and sometimes that can go over into Coke. So I think Coke's going to open up. It just might be a little bit relatively weak compared to fair value.
Okay, SPU's just drifting up, just made a new high at 12.51, so as we're making new highs, it's hard to make a projection on the downside. 12.49 and a quarter now will serve as support since we have broken through that level. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back with our market movers.